This one, correct. That is agreed. So now we are here. Yeah. Yeah. That's no problem.
Uncle, you should have gone. I need those one. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Even the civil has given them 500.
No, but we didn't approve. You need the report. No,
I have
did you approve today?
No,
Did you approve at that?
no.
Did you approve Kiramudma?
But they are all approved now.
Look at the report. Everybody. You approve. The only thing. The only thing there is habitat. We had the food. But guys came
The local construction company.
that one is the only one which we refuse, but they refused us to put it in. But the others refuse. We refuse the. He refused the.
Huh?
You need to report.
But ba think about one day kaba marin think about one. Yes, my brother. Yeah.
And it's doing very well. But you know, we are doing something
Even as we have been saying, you the seniors should be given money
like now,
to do real things.
But
But what is annoying us, Honorable, is for us to tell you something good and you go behind and do something. That's one I understand. No.
if you cannot advise you, you have to do what?
Yeah. If he calls
I
you,
cannot now.
if
A paper and write.
you are considering, no, you don't know. Even if I know that the president is supposed to seek your guidance, then there you can give him what. No, Honorable Minister, we know the difficulty you can under which you are. And that is why for us we have to speak. Please do. You remember the day we called the committee during the Vinci report. You people came there when you were coming out. We gave him the attack report.
I think tomorrow.
Excuse me.
Whatever you think is
Here you fight with bread. Fight with bread. So you fight with women. Right, you are great.
People are running mad in their ministries because they don't have money. Whoever wants to give them the money because it's not part of the supplemental. Because the supplemental money is just for eating for everybody.
Honorable members, Mr. Speaker.
Is welcome. Hey,
Prayers. Almighty God, we in the our prudential goodness, our appointments of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of certain just come to humanity. We beseech you to look upon with the abundant favor these your servants, whom we've been pleased call the performance of such important trust in this land. Let your blessing descend upon we assembled and grant that the mayors in your presence, treat and consider all matters shall come under deliberation, is so just and faithful manner to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the good of those whose interests you have committed your church. Amen.
Item number 2 in the order paper, communication from the chair.
Thank you, colleagues. I welcome you to today's sitting. Colleagues, as you know, we are in the budgeting process. So, and according to Rule 149 of our Rules of Procedure, we should have ministerial policy statement reports tabled on the floor by 20th of this month. So, from 18th, 19th and 20th, we shall be handling committee reports on ministerial policy statements. I want to urge all sectoral committees to work through the weekend. We do whatever we can and we finish the reports, because we don't have any other gap of going beyond 20th. A schedule has been issued. Clerk, ensure that indeed all chairpersons receive this schedule. We have scheduled you on how you will be, on when you'll be presenting committees, which will present on 18th, those for 19th, and those for 20th. So please let's do this. If there is any work that standing committees we are doing, I request that we allow members to join sector committee this weekend so that we can finish. Okay, that's the most important issue. And the month of April and the month of May, we are mainly looking at the budget. After ministerial policy statements, we shall be looking at committee reports that have a very big implication on the budget. Some are to do with accountability, others are oversight studies, oversight reports, which the committees have done, so that we get all of them and they guide us when we are debating on the final budget. So colleagues, I just wanted to inform you about that and ensure you check on your committee chairperson, how far have we reached with our sector committee report. Matters of national importance. A procedure, Honorable Solomon.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to raise on the procedure matter, Right Honorable Speaker, on your communication and to seek your indulgence, Right Honorable Speaker. Committees, sector committees are sitting, Right Honorable Speaker, to consider the different ministerial policy statements. However, Right Honorable Speaker, even the standing committees are sitting at the same time. So the matter I was seeking your guidance on is, if to not be procedure right Honorable Speaker, for you to ask the chairperson of the standing committees to hold the meeting so that we can go ahead with the sector committees during this weekend, so that we conclude the ministerial policy statement. Right Honorable Speaker, that is where I wanted to seek your indulgence.
Thank you. Now, colleagues, I think the problem we have in Parliament, you want a language of commanding. I requested the leadership of standing committees that you hold. I wouldn't want to be directing your honorable colleagues here, okay? Because also members of the standing committees they know they can only do their work if the sector committees have managed budgets, otherwise standing. So I want to reemphasize the way Honorable Solomon, our Commissioner Serwanyi, has brought it out. Standing committees, please leave members to first process sector committee reports. It's just a few days, and then you come in and you continue with your work. Honorable Mugore, what's the issue? Procedure, Honorable Komakech? You see, Honorable Mugore, you should come to the microphone only when I've called you or allowed you. No, but you can have a temporary shelter in the front bench, and then I will allow you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, rise on Procedural 52. Right Honorable Speaker, with the wisdom that you have, last week you presided over this house and you instructed the Minister of Internal Affairs to come up with a ministerial statement this week. You gave him strictly 1 week, which 1 week elapsed on Wednesday. And today, when I look at the front bench, I don't see the Minister of Internal Affairs on that statement. But also, last year, with your wisdom and wise ruling, you also asked the Attorney General, when I raised the matter of national importance about land eviction in Puranga sub-county, you asked the Attorney General to come up with a report to this house. Up to today, he has not. So I'm asking, kindly requesting, Mr. Speaker, would it be procedure right that you again invoke your powers so that the ministers and the Attorney General present with this house on the issues I raised? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, honorable colleagues, when we make a commitment here or when we give guidance, it's very, very important for it to be followed. Capture those issues so that they are on the order paper after we've sorted sector committee reports. Okay. And colleagues, on top of sector committee reports, the Committee on Finance, you need to expeditiously handle tax bills, because tax bills, we must consider them here before appropriation. Okay, so tax bills should be given very, very serious priority. The Committee on Finance, where you need our support as a leadership, we shall support you, but ensure you expedite the process of processing tax bills. Honorable Mugore.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the procedural matter I want to raise emanates from last week's session on Thursday, 6th Thursday. I didn't attend Parliament. I was on another assignment in Mutukula. However, I got calls from my constituency that I had been thrown out of Parliament due to indecent dressing. And yet I was not here. That was bad reporting. I have got these people who did that report, whereas they have apologized to me, but for purposes of the answer is really to show that I was not in Parliament. I didn't attend Parliament. I had even a function in my constituency, Women's Day celebrations. And I wondered, in fact, my constituents were wondering, the ever smart man to have been thrown out of Parliament because of indecent dressing.
Thank you.
So the procedural matter I'm raising is that I think for you as the Right Honorable Speaker, this information inferred that maybe you don't know you are, because they brought in your voice, whereas you did not mention the person whom you had sent out, it inferred that you do not know you are members of Parliament. It insinuated that I was here as if, and yet most women here have really attested that I'm one of the smartest MPs in this. Right Honorable Speaker, my honorable colleagues, the members of Parliament, the men, I fear men to say I'm smart because of very obvious reasons. I don't want men to say so. So this Right Honorable Speaker has caused disrepute to me in my constituency. And I suppose that you should be clear that I was not the one, I was not here, and this does not concern me. I thank you, Right Honorable.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable, that was so detailed. That was so detailed. Next time I would guide that you invoke Rule 55, which is statement of person explanation in our rules of procedure. Colleagues, you know, we have the new rules. Some of you got the old rules and all that. Okay, so it's very, very important that you do that. But for the record, okay, the colleague who was not properly dressed, sometimes I don't want it to be raised by members. I just told the colleague, I said, Honorable colleague, please go out because you're not properly dressed. And that was not you. You were not here. So for the record, whoever is saying that Honorable God was just out of the house, that is wrong. He's one of the smartest members, and we are proud of him for that. Honorable clarification applies to a member who is holding the floor, and is no longer on the floor. So, colleagues, matters of national importance. I'll start with Honorable Saropendi.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the issue that I am raising regards the continued violation of the rights of some women members of parliament by security and RDCs. Yes. Yes, Right Honorable Speaker. Just last week, we had the Minister of General Duties, the Honorable Kasule Rumumba, updating us on the progress of the Sustainable Development Goals. And one of the 17 SDGs is on gender equality and ensuring that there is peace and women are able to exercise their fundamental human rights. Right Honorable Speaker, the women members of parliament are elected. Last year, Right Honorable Speaker, a woman member of parliament organizes a Women's Day, spends her money on in the night before the event. The function was cancelled by the RDC. Yes, it was that bad. I left it to pass, thinking this year will be better. Right Honorable Speaker, you have seen members of parliament, women MPs, continuously being harassed. We had Mitiana last week, we had Luwero, we had Ngora, we had Kasese. Right Honorable Speaker, a member of parliament is number 17 on the order of precedence in this country. Another DC is number 33 together with the district chairperson. Right Honorable Speaker, why should the women members of parliament continue being members of parliament when they are being harassed and they cannot exercise their rights? A member of parliament organizes a fundraising.
Prayers, Honorable.
Organizes a function. And Right Honorable Speaker, she is harassed. Right Honorable Speaker, my prayer is that the Minister for Presidency, Right Honorable, there is information coming in. What can I do? I
will allow one from Ngora.
There are two. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I am here as a testimony that I organized a Women's Day in Ngora district last year. The RDC, the one Mr. Ecom, blocked it at 9:30 p.m. And there was no compensation, there was no reason. This very year, 2023, still Ngora has not celebrated a Women's Day in a proper way. And the Minister of Gender has directed us, the women member of parliament, to be on the lead for the Women's Day. We have a letter directing us that the 3 million should be utilized in consultation with the woman member of parliament. And Right Honorable Speaker, I subscribe to Forum for Democratic Change. And these RDCs use it against us The whole country knows we have 32 members of parliament in FDC. We have over 50 in NUP. So why should we block? And we were given the mandate by the people. Right, Honorable Speaker, my prayer is that the minister in charge RDCs,
Honorable,
bring them
Honorable
to order.
Honorable Korik, when you're giving information, you don't add the prayers.
Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Sarah, can you conclude? Honorable Sarah, conclude.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as the chairperson of the Uganda Women's Parliamentary Association, I want to pray that the Minister for Presidency comes here to explain to Parliament why members of Parliament, women, are continuously being harassed by the RDCs. Secondly, the Minister for Internal Affairs also comes here to explain what the police is using to block women members of parliament from either having fundraisings or mobilizing women for any activity, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you.
Thank you. Those are my two prayers, Right
Thank
Honorable
you.
Speaker.
Government, because no rope now, since it was a matter of national importance, your member has spoken. Let's just hear, because you see, once you involve two ministries, it's better we look for the center of power. Right, Honorable?
Right, Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that my colleagues, especially the woman member of parliament from Ngora and others, have been mistreated on such a day when I will say that you are not just like you are saying that you were encouraged by the minister, but you have the obligation to celebrate that day as a woman. And when we are talking about women, all women must be involved to celebrate the achievements.
She just started speaking. Please.
The achievements of women in our country and of course in the world all over. So it is unfortunate that you've been mistreated in such a way. The RDCs are not supposed, they are not supposed at all to discourage or to refuse women to celebrate their day. Right, Honorable Speaker, I'm going to take it in my office to call the people who have been involved in this, but I've said it here that RDCs are not supposed to refuse women to celebrate their day. I thank you.
Thank you. Now, Right Honorable, it's very important for you, the minister for whom the honorable member wanted to give answers, you need to arrange a meeting between those ministers and UOPA so that the affected members are part of that meeting. And they are given an explanation as to why this is going on. If they don't want them told such a days, then they should be told instead of wasting resources and time, and they don't do it, okay? So UOPA, we shall be in touch. If it necessitates coming back here, we shall give space. But for now, we are going into the budgeting period. I don't want lag on issues when we have the budgeting period. Honorable Janet Takormo.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I rise on a matter of urgent importance concerning the continued restlessness arising from insecurity caused by armed cattle raiders being experienced by the communities of Abim district. Right Honorable Speaker, Abim neighbors Agago and Otuke. So when you hear Agago and Otuke crying, it means Abim has cried enough. Right Honorable Speaker, the armed rustlers have continued to launch attack on the people of Abim almost on a daily basis, stealing the remaining balance of livestock. These days, raids take place even at daytime. a few families had remained with some oxen just for plowing, which they normally tie with the chains and lock with the padlocks. But of late, the rustlers come with the tools and even cut off the padlocks and drive the animals away. We are wondering whether those are still rustlers. Right, Honorable Speaker, the rustlers seem to have come with a lot of vengeance, and they are scattered in smaller groups and attack from any side, anytime. Abim district has lost lives, a lot of property to this vice. Others have suffered injuries from bows and arrows, gunshots, the latest victims being Ogwang David of Oringadinga village
Honorable prayers.
in Alerek Town Council. Right, Honorable Speaker, the latest development is that they even forcefully enter houses and collect household goods, mattresses, saucepans, and everything. My prayers, government should tailor disarmament to focus on the hills of Abim, where the raiders seem to be hiding. Prayer number 2, government should reinforce and boost up the security details of Abim as a matter of urgency, so as to secure the lives and the properties of the people, especially now that they are in their gardens. Government should, as a matter of urgency, consider deploying additional soldiers in Abim, especially those specifically trained in managing challenging terrains of hilly mountains like Abim. Ministry of Works should consider rehabilitating Morulem airstrip in Morulem Town Council, so that even the aircrafts being used in disarmament operations are able to land for any emergency support and reinforcement for the people of Abim. Ministry of Disaster Preparedness should provide emergency food relief items and non-food relief items to families whose homes have been burnt and those whose household items have been rustled. Finally, government takes security of Abim seriously, bearing in mind its uniqueness of being a community in Karamoja that is not armed, but struggles to survive amid its insecurity caused by rustlers year in, year out. Right, Honorable Speaker, Article 36 of the Constitution.
Honorable, we cannot. Please.
Thank you, Right, Honorable Speaker.
Please. Thank you. Now, honorable colleagues, these are questions you should put to the Prime Minister so that you get a detailed response. No, listen. These are questions because you see, once it has such a huge detail, it's because you see, there is a difference between you raising a question on the floor and the answer you get. You can raise it where it's noted, but the quality of answer you get also matters. Minister for Defense.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I acknowledge the concerns by Honorable Member of Parliament from Abim, the woman MP. In fact, when I came in, I met one of Honorable Norman and the woman MP together. We have a challenge. The challenge, the Karamoja challenge, the raids, is not of today. How I pray that we shall finally find a secure, effective, reliable, cost-effective way to handle this matter. The issue of handling, of course, there is what they call retaliation by some of the cattle rustlers. It's a matter that we are handling, but we are looking at stopping handling it in an ad hoc way, ad hoc manner, that we respond to this. But as a way forward, I want to inform the honorable members that by next month, the issue of manpower We shall have many of the recruits being passed out by next month, and we shall have them. This is not Chaco matters.
Point of order.
Right Honorable Speaker, the matter on the floor is very serious concerning raids. Right Honorable Speaker, few weeks ago, the same issues of raids has been happening in Acholi sub-region, whereby the Karamojong comes, they loot household properties, and this is not only normal raid as we used to see. Right now, the Honorable Minister is saying about manpower. Right Honorable Speaker, we are aware that Uganda as a government, we have taken about 12,000 soldiers outside the country. 12,000 manpower, they're outside Uganda. And internally, we are suffering because we are lacking more soldiers to take care of our people. Right Honorable Speaker, is the Honorable Minister in order to brag that because we lack manpower, next month we shall get more manpower, yet you are exporting our soldiers and they are serving other people? Are you in order? Is it in order, right Honorable Speaker?
So, colleagues, honorable colleagues, number one, let us stop indicting the whole region of Karamoja. When we use the language of Karamojong, it doesn't augur well. There are good people. It's like we indict, no, honorable, I'm not accusing you, but I'm like, we should specify the criminals. Some might be from Karamoja, others might take advantage and all that. But Honorable Bosbol, Honorable colleague has asked, are you in order? You come and answer yourself. Are you in order? Why do I answer for you? Whether you're
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for your guidance. First of all, honorable members, I gave a preamble that this is a very complex matter that has a historical factor. Just this week, Kumi, the area MP from there, Dr. Okasai, called me. And in an island called Tisai, several raiders went and took a lot of cows. The second day they did. So the police, Uganda Police Force and the UPDF, they went in there now, they've closed the gaps. So we are taking, Right Honorable Speaker, this matter, I'm very well informed on the issue of the security on that matter. And the issue, I'm told that the Ministerial Committee of this Parliament will be going to Karamoja very soon this month, 23rd and through. We are looking at going on the ground with them to see what are the loopholes. And we cover this. But the commitment is that I've taken the concern and I'm going to talk to the division commander and we see how we can be able to help.
Thank you.
Right now, as I leave the microphone.
Thank you.
So I was very much in order.
Thank you. So Honorable Ranya, Honorable Boss has said he was in order. Okay, Honorable Prime Minister, there were issues beyond security that a member raised. Any comment? Oh, there is works. I can see the Minister for Works here. Yeah.
Right Honorable Speaker, honorable colleagues, there are about 13 aerodromes that the ministry is supposed to rehabilitate. And because of the resource constraints, you had identified 4 for a start. But given the urgency of this problem in Abim, I'll go and discuss with my technical people and see if we can rearrange and delay the 4th one and first maybe see if Abim can be among the first 4. We'll do that.
Thank you.
Concerning food, Right Honorable Speaker, we allocated food last week to those areas. I think it will be delivered this week. Thank you.
Thank you. As honorable colleagues, in the public gallery this afternoon, we have law students of King Caesar University in Makinje Division, Kampala District. They are represented in Parliament by Honorable Nyeko Derek and Honorable Marende Shamim. They've come to observe proceedings of this house. Please join me in welcoming them. You can stand up. Thank you. Thank you. Honorable Koruo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I rise on the very important urgent matter on the rampant cattle raids in Magoro sub-county and also Tisai Islands in Kumi. Right Honorable Speaker, last week, unknown cattle rustlers raided a huge number of animals in Magoro sub-county. Mentioned but a few, the following people lost 27 cows. Osirima Charles of Magoro Town Council, 10 cows. Mr. Okou Nico of Magoro Town Council, 5 cows. Mr. Ikuta George of Omasha Parish, 9 cows. And Mr. Osea Joseph of Oigosel lost 3 cows. The situation, Honorable Speaker, is worrying. It is causing a lot of panic to my people. And when you take up the season now, it is supposed to be the time for people to plant, but instead, people are now starting to move and sleep in camps. Right, Honorable Speaker, I have 3 requests or prayers. Information, my brother.
Now, Honorable Cyrus, just by the one matters of national importance, I don't allow information, but I just want to say this. I have around 5 colleagues who have issues to do with the cattle rustling. Okay? So I don't know, colleagues, whether we should allow each and everyone or we really, because there are other issues also, because I have here Honorable Cyrus on the list. AFCON, I have Honorable Rageni David in the same. It also applies to the one of Judith Achan. Honorable Janet Abim, you know, so very many issues on the same. Please. Now, I think what we can do, we can use 1 minute each one of us among those ones who are registered here, okay? So that is not information only. You also raise your prayers in the midst. And we capture it because you're on the list. Huh? Okay, but Honorable Koro is on the floor, so I can't stop him.
Thank you. My prayers are: 1, the government should compensate the victims who lost their cows as soon as possible. 2, we have a brigade in a place called Ongongoja. The commanders, some of these people should be taken to a very strategic place called Alereituk, which these people used to enter Magoro and Tisai Island in Kumi. Then lastly, the UPDF is trying to do good work. The local people are asking for a local solution, and this is their solution. If they can be allowed just only to arm only 3 sections of the local, three. Just a minute to conclude.
Let the colleague say his point. Conclude that point.
1 section to be in Magoro, 1 section to be in Palam, and 1 section to be in this place called the Okore. I'm very sure and confident that these people will help to contain this situation. I thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Cyrus.
Chair, thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. The raids in Kumi actually, according to the reports from the communities, started on the 6th of March, and the government took a lot of time to respond. It is just yesterday that we learned that there was an arrangement to bring only 30 UPDF to come and contain the situation. But all the same, what we have lost as Kumi is more than 357 heads of cattle, which is a huge number. We were already down with the poverty. And this one is really dragging us to the worst corner of poverty by taking away all the animals which are left. We are here crying, they have not even compensated for the animals we have been crying for. Attorney General has been here dodging us. Now government cannot even help us. They are not responding. In the island of Tisai, where this issue is, Right Honorable Speaker, the people are complaining. When they bring the UPDF, they ask them to feed them. So between the people and the government, who takes away the taxes? This is a very big concern, Right Honorable Speaker. Number 2, in terms of prayers now, Right Honorable Speaker, the people need urgent action in terms of medicines, food, but also money. There is nothing in their pocket now because they have been going to the markets to sell these animals to raise something. They don't have money. When we had COVID here, people were given 100. I hope the Prime Minister is listening and will respond to this. Send money to our people because they are doing badly. The last one is for compensation. Kindly, quickly compensate our people, but also through you, Right Honorable Speaker, the people of Kumi have not been given their animals, the other ones, the original compensation up to now. I want to take this as an opportunity to ask you through your good seat to remind the government that we are part of government and we are part of here, part of Uganda. Trouble only. We are coming back.
Thank you. Was that part of the prayers? So, yes, Honorable, colleagues, these are issues that really, I can see the emotion with which colleagues speak, because they are painful stories, because most of you have shared with me in office. Let me also allow Honorable again, David, to ask.
Thank you, the Right Honorable Speaker. On the same note, allowed me raise the issue of security in my area. Right Honorable Speaker, this issue should never be taken for granted. I am speaking with pain because my people are suffering. Government programs are being interrupted. Children are not able to go to school. The cattle raiders are able to waylay children on the road. Houses are being burned. As I talk now, people are being displaced. In Adilang, in Umia Pashua, we have a numbers of community members who are being displaced. These raiders have started moving from door to. If you refuse to come out and open the kraal for them to be able to take the cattle, they fire you with bullets. On the 10th of this month, a gentleman called Oyet Charles was shot from his house because they refused to come outside and release the cattle. On the 9th, they uprooted the whole entire garden of cassava. On the 11th, they invaded one of the sub-county and took over 16 cattle. Today, in the morning, people were running from the garden, from one of the sub-county. And over 100 youths gathered themselves and they were very angry and annoyed and they want to revenge. And I have to talk to the local authority to stop them because we still believe the government must take action immediately.
Prayers.
My humble prayers. I am very happy that the Ministry of Works and Transport is here. We have been crying for security road to support the UPDF. And this has been a song. And there has been no response in this. Let the minister respond to us today. What is happening? Number 2, the office of the Prime Minister should respond immediately, especially to the people who are displaced. They need support. Number 3, the entire 9 sub-county in Agago, we are asking government to give them iron seat. Let them get out of the grass thatch houses. Because these people are burning houses. It is not safe for the community member now to live in a grass thatch houses. Let the government give them iron seat, the whole 9 sub-counties. The Right Honorable Speaker, it is very good that today we are going to talk about the supplementary budgets. Let the issue of the supplementary budgets, Agago, be considered as a special district. Some of the money should be allocated because for a very long time, government programs are not being implemented effectively. As I talk now, many of our children are not going to university because their cattle has been taken. Our community are poor. Can the Ministry of Education consider giving a special scholarship for CIDA candidate? And our district also benefit as part of other district. This is my humble prayer, the Right Honorable Speaker. I beg to submit.
Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister. Shadow
Right.
Defense Minister.
Right
wanted to say
Honorable
something?
Speaker.
Shadow Defense Minister wanted to say something.
Right Honorable, can I finish this?
Yeah, no, you come after him because you would need to respond to what I say.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the events in Karamoja and the surrounding areas, Lango, Teso, Acholi, and Sebei, actually calls into question the commitment of government to protect all citizens. Mr. Speaker, we have seen and we have been around. Events have happened in other parts of this country. Issues of insurgency. The next day, the deployment is massive. Events have happened in other countries. Once Uganda learns that people are dying in other countries, we are so fast to assemble our troops and take there to fight. Right now in Somalia, we have more than 6,000 soldiers, and the African Union can only foot the bill for 3,000 soldiers who are there. We have demanded that the 3,000 that are redundant in Somalia be brought back, because the question of Karamoja is a question, simply a question of deployment. Can the Prime Minister make commitment that those people in Karamoja matters to this country, that their property matters to people in charge of government? That should be the commitment from government to ensure that there's adequate deployment. And we have the soldiers, we have the capacity to do that. Where is the political will? The Prime Minister should answer this.
Thank you. Right Honorable.
Right Honorable Speaker, I saw, like you saw on that list, we have many questions concerning security. And these are very serious matters that are being raised by members of parliament and especially in that region. I know I have the minister here, Honorable both can answer some, but I was giving some guidance that if you can allow the ministry to come up with a well-detailed statement on the insecurity in those areas that is going around, because they are very serious matters.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Right Honorable Prime Minister, we have had Committee of Defense to visit these areas. We have had meetings in these areas. We have compiled reports. These reports are available. Right Honorable Prime Minister, where there is theft, raping women, burning houses, killing people, this is not theft. What we are trying to say here is that we need to change our approach. We need to declare these people a rebel group and start serious action on them. Otherwise, it is not a pleasure to keep on standing up here talking about cattle raids. We need security beefed up. We need a robust operation, and we not handle this issue like it's just a common theft. This is a serious rebellion and a rebel activity which is taking place in this country. Just yesterday, they killed someone in my constituency in Namukora. They keep on shooting people. Women are being raped, and you see children remaining orphans. These are serious matters we are talking about. Thank you.
So, Right Honorable, if the ministry can come up with the action points on the issues that are being raised, not just to talk about it here, but if they can go and come up with a detailed action points on the issue of security in the areas that have been mentioned. That is my guidance.
Thank you. Honorable both of us wanted to contribute on that.
Right, Honorable Speaker, the solution is coming, and I want to agree with the Honorable Lillian Abba. Okay. That is what I said here, that we need to start to do it better than we are. Right, Honorable Speaker, that if it is permissible, we have a consultative meeting of all members of parliament from that region. We draw a program because what is happening there is not being handled as a war, but it's a fully fledged war that threatens the livelihood of our people. It is a fully fledged illegal activity which is beyond just cattle rustling. I hope when we get into fully fledged operation, the issues of human rights, as if others who are being killed are not humans, I hope we shall balance the equation. But I pray that the honorable members of parliament give me an opportunity to invite them in our ministry and then our other sector, Minister of Internal Affairs and the Minister of Security and Defense, so that we meet and agree.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, Honorable, indeed, as a security sector, please engage. But also, Honorable colleagues, as you've heard, our committee will be going to Karamoja, and they've already informed the minister. So let's also give them time. These are very serious issues. We shall always give you space. Once they come up, we see how best we can work together to have them settled. Colleagues, the rest of the issues, I will handle them under PM time. Matters of national importance, I'll handle them under that time. Procedure, Honorable very much.
Thank you, Right Honorable. Right Honorable, yesterday I raised the matter of national importance, and you ruled that the Minister of Education will give us a statement today. The matter concerning schools extending learning hours.
Honorable Minister, you want to say something?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. It is true the Honorable colleague raised the matter is one issue. We are discussing it as the top management of the ministry. We will be able to give a
an answer to the country on what position we have agreed on that matter. I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Minister, prepare in 1 week. You give us the statement. Next item. Next item.
Item number 3 on the order paper, statement by ministers, 3-1.
Yes, on this matter, I've talked to the Minister for Finance. Really, there were still some gaps within the statement, which we agreed upon after looking through, but they have to first look at and handle. Hope we shall handle it next week. Next.
Item 3-2.
Minister for Agriculture. Rak, if you could read the statement for.
Right Honorable Speaker, I made a call to the Right Honorable Leader of Opposition over that matter and spoke to the leaders in Masaka. We agreed that we need more time to get the version of the affected people, because the statement I was going to bring here was only from UCDA. I felt it's fair. I listened from the issues of the affected people and I give you a balanced account. I beg that you allow me more 2 weeks, as I agreed with the leader of opposition and Honorable Namaya and the mayor, to come and report on this issue of the seeming conflict between the national operators and the UCDA. I beg to request.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Minister, you can sit nearby because there is a matter which colleagues have been concerned about, in as far as funding of the agriculture sector is concerned. We want to know the status of the funding of the agriculture sector, the releases made to the sector, because we appropriated money. The things we thought would be handled, we are not seeing anything. We want to know, are you being funded as we appropriated?
Right Honorable Speaker, allow me to make a statement formally showing you the releases we've gotten to date and the constraints we have. We really have very, very serious constraints given the demands we have from the country. So if you allow next week, I can make a statement of the money we've been given.
Is Honorable Abim here, Janet Akormo? Chair Agriculture Committee. Okay. Okay, Honorable Minister. Next item. When you raise your hand or your finger, you don't know what it is. Because here you stand up on a certain point. Either it's procedure, it's order, it's no. I can see you standing up. What should I do, Honorable Tamagus? The minister has not given any statement. The minister has requested for an extension of time. Okay, Honorable Tamagus, let me listen to you.
So, Right Honorable Speaker was requesting the minister to come with the report as regards to goods distribution in Karamoja. We have had several reports regarding regarding the goods which are not distributed in Karamoja. Since it falls under his docket, he should come with that report too. Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. No, Honorable, after iron sheets, we shall go to goats. Okay? Because, yes, Honorable Minister.
Right Honorable, for the record, we do not distribute any goats in Karamoja, at least not to my knowledge. It could be another program, perhaps under OPM or another ministry.
Thank you. Procedure, Enos?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm raising under Rule 52. The Honorable Minister, when he was sent to make a statement on Masaka coffee seedlings, nursery operators, at the same time, we requested a statement regarding supply of seedlings to farmers. We were looking at the amount of money that we allocated in the previous budget relating to free seedlings, and the speaker instructed, unfortunately, they could have left at that time, that you come with a statement regarding coffee seedling supplies to farmers. I don't know whether he's able to respond or not.
Honourable Minister.
Right, Honorable Speaker. For the record, I prefer the corner. That was my first sitting when I entered Parliament. So I beg that you maintain my chivanja here. Right, Honorable Speaker. I was there before you, Mgwatekamo, so just be calm. Right, Honorable Speaker. I made a statement on the floor on the seedlings, but these were to do with maize seedlings. And as you know, colleagues, it was discussed here. We got a commitment from the Ministry of Finance here on the floor. And based on that, NADS instructed the suppliers to release the seedlings. The seed, my apologies. Yes, many of you have picked them. And many of you have told us that because of the erratic seasons, you agreed to keep them for next season. It's logical and it's understandable. On the issue of coffee seedlings, there was also a decision on the floor here that we allow you CDA to supply. Right, Honorable, you were in chair. And based on that, last season, the supply was done. Not until we get another commitment, we cannot be sure that we shall supply. Because these items, colleagues, as I said last week, were removed from the budget of the Ministry of Agriculture. So not until we get a policy change or a resolution of Parliament that is consented to by Ministry of Finance, we cannot guarantee the regular supply of seedlings as it used to be. Thank you.
Colleagues, let's handle these issues when we hand a statement related to releases of to the Minister of Agriculture. We shall handle all those details. No, but Sarah, you had a procedure.
Yes, thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, my procedural issue regards the way we proceed in this House. When a member raises a matter of national importance and the minister is asked to bring a statement, the clerks should immediately put that on the order paper. I raised an issue regarding the students' loan scheme. The various students who some have even dropped out now of school because they could not afford the fees. They went to first year hoping that second year they could be taken on by the higher financing students loan scheme. The minister came with a statement, it is now 4 weeks. He would come and go away. So, Right Honorable Speaker, is it not procedural right that the Minister of Education is asked to come and explain why we don't have funding for this students' loan scheme? And I'm crying even on this supplementary budget. Right Honorable Speaker, you have students even from your own district who found their way into university doing sciences, which is a priority course for this government. And they cannot proceed. Some of them have admission letters. They have failed to join university because they could not be accommodated. So, Right Honorable Speaker, is it not procedural right that we have that response from the Minister of Education regarding the higher students loan scheme? Or if the minister has the response, he could give it and we see how to move forward.
Minister, do you have the statement ready?
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, the matter of higher students loan scheme is one where I can give an answer even now. First of all, I want to acknowledge the challenges notwithstanding of the government of the Republic of Uganda on as far as the performance of our economy is concerned. But I also want to acknowledge that as a Minister of Education, our request for the funding of the higher student loan scheme, we placed it. We have a funding deficit of about 24 billion, and of which finance has not given us the money. So for that matter, what can you expect the Minister of Education to do if we don't get that funding? But also, that's why I said, we are aware of the challenges government is facing generally, because the cuts are all over government. I thank you.
Right Honorable Prime Minister, take up that matter. Next week on Tuesday, you update the House on the same. Rope, you wanted to say something? Let acting Rope say something.
Right Honorable Speaker, every minister that stands and speaks says there's a problem with finances. They say the economy is not doing well. don't you think that procedurally, we need the Minister of Finance to come and tell us the status of the economy so that we know? Because when you say there are no medicines in the hospitals, they say there is no money. How is the economy standing? I think we need to know the status of the economy so that then we know where we fall and plan accordingly.
Thank you. You see, colleagues, our Committee for National Economy gave a statement on that, gave a report on that. And that's a report, you remember when we were handling the BFP, when I said, colleagues, in your debate, refer to the committee report on the state of the economy. Now we are going into budgeting process. We should have everything on our mind. Of course, the economy keeps changing, evolving. You cannot every day say, bring a statement, bring a statement, bring a statement. I would think that indeed we need to look at it very, very closely, especially when we are doing these reports. And then we expected the committee on budget also give us a report, a status on releases. Now, those ones would give us a better picture. Why did you release money for ABCD and then you didn't release for ABCD? I think that's what we shall look at. Committee on budget, chair is not here, but what I will do, I'll first ask for the report. Once it's ready, we give it priority. It will enable us to discuss very well on the status of our finances. Oh no, Macho, it's a procedure matter, expert. Because I cross matters of national importance.
Procedural matter, Mr. Speaker, sir, number 42. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for guiding the House well. Mr. Speaker, my mood is not good at all because, Mr. Speaker, yesterday in the morning, it was a sad day for the people of Busia municipality on the tax pact that the enforcement of Uganda Revenue Authority invaded and started torturing citizens and the journalists. Mr. Speaker, sir, I've risen on a procedural matter. Ask whether we are proceeding well when the journalists of this country, first of all, the other day, we saw paper spray to the journalists. Yesterday, it was to the journalists of Busia and David Oori, a journalist for NTV, up to now is missing. The cameras were taken for all the 7 journalists. Mr. Speaker, sir, as I talk now, even Kenyans who were doing cross-border trade are fearing to cross to Uganda because the rate at which the enforcement officers were shooting in Uganda was terrible. The Kenyans thought that there is war in our country. I therefore don't know whether, Mr. Speaker, we are proceeding well by not talking on such a very important matter that concerns my people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable colleagues, Rule 78, Sub-Rule 4. Now I want to be very clear on point of procedure. Rule 78, Sub-Rule 4. Interruption of debate. Okay? Where a member interrupts the debate on a point of procedure, the member shall state the rule of procedure he or she deems to have been breached by the member holding the floor, or the procedure matter he or she wishes to be ruled upon before subjecting the member to the speaker's ruling. A point of procedure, a member must be on the floor. Now I want to go to strict interpretation. If you don't have anyone holding the floor, then you don't raise the point of procedure because it has to do with the conduct of a person holding the floor. We have tried to be lenient, but I've seen it has become a shortcut for us to submit and finding a way of smuggling a few issues here. So, honorable colleagues, you will allow me to apply your own rules which you made for us to be able to move forward. I've tried to be lenient, but I've seen we are abusing this. So let's move on. Honorable, I will give you space under OPM time, and I noted you down as a matter of national importance. It was already noted. Next item.
Item number 4 on the order paper. Motion for adoption of the report of the Committee on Education and Sports on the failure by government of the Republic of Uganda to secure the grant provided by the government of the People's Republic of China to construct 2 regional stadia, Buhinga in Kabale district and Akbua in Lira district.
Chair, Committee on Education.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for allowing us time to present this report of the Committee of Education and Sports on the failure by government of the Republic of Uganda to secure the grant provided by the government.
Procedure.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I recall very well when this matter came of the construction of the two stadiums, I raised, and I'm on record on the floor here, and the Speaker guided that when this matter comes up, the committee would handle all the stadiums in the country. And this includes our only stadium in Busoga. That is the dilapidated Bugembe football stadium. So, Right Honorable Speaker, wouldn't it be procedural right for you to go up as per the earlier guidance that this stadium of Busoga is included on the report? I just wanted to seek your indulgence on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. I think, Honorable, this would apply after reading the report. Let us first listen what is in the report. We see if they didn't touch these issues, then we can ask them. Chair.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. So, Right Honorable Speaker and members, I'm here to present a report on the Committee on Education and Sports on the failure by government of the Republic of Uganda to secure the grant provided by the government of the People's Republic of China to construct two regional stadia, that is Buhinga in Kabarole district and Akibua in Lira district. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay on table the report and the minutes of the various meetings we conducted. I beg to lay. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, during the House proceedings held on 15 September 2021, the Fort Portal Central Division representative in Parliament, Honorable Ruhunda Alex, raised an urgent question on delays by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to adhere to the House's instruction to present progress reports on the construction of Buhinga Stadium in Kabarole District and Akibua Olympic Stadium in Lira District through a grant from the government of the People's Republic of China. Relatedly, the same matter was raised by the Fort Portal City Woman Member of Parliament, Honorable Linda Irene, during the House proceedings held on 30th September 2021.
Honorable, kindly go on observations and and recommendations.
Okay.
Then we open a debate.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker. I go to page 5 of the report, where the methodology is clearly highlighted, the various entities we met, and the visits we conducted. Findings and observations and recommendations. 3.1, delays in fast-tracking implementation of presidential pledges to construct the two regional stadia, that is Buhinga and Akibua.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, as the member talks about delays in fast-tracking implementation, honestly, Right Honorable Speaker, a matter is presented on 15th September 2021. The committee report is being presented today, 2023. Right Honorable Speaker, is it in order for the Committee of Education to continue violating our own rules that a matter is referred to them and they take 2 years? Honestly, Right Honorable Speaker, is it in order This is not the first time, Right Honorable Speaker. The report I know was completed in November 2023, but is it in order for them to continue violating the rules of this house, that a matter is referred to them and they take years to report back?
Honorable Chair, you want to say something about that?
Right Honorable Speaker, it is true the matter was raised in 2021. And as a committee, we need to acknowledge that we had very many assignments from this house. No, we are not tired. And we did our work. Right Honorable Speaker, this report was ready by last year. But it has been in the next business for about 6 months. However, we want to apologize if members feel that there was a delay. It was not intended. Right Honorable Speaker, we have a number of reports which are ready for presentation.
Honorable colleague,
And
a committee report should take 45 days. You took over 1 year to finish your work. Okay? That's unacceptable. I would guide you next time when you have too much work. You form subcommittees of the committee. The moment, that's how PAC does, trade. So you do subcommittees. It doesn't have to be a full committee to process a report. So a subcommittee can do, and where you feel that your committee is overwhelmed, you come back to the leadership, then we can assign that assignment to another committee. We have other committees that can provide support. Okay? Yeah. So, but use subcommittees, then subcommittees would submit to the main committee, and then the committee adopts the report, and you bring it here. Because sometimes we have all these issues because we've taken very long, Please continue. Colleagues, I said, let's do away with it together with the National Council of Sports so that the debate is the same.
okay, thank you, Honorable Speaker and members, for accepting my apology. We shall do better. So right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, delays in fast tracking the implementation of presidential pledges to construct 2 regional stadia, Buhinga and Akibwa. In a meeting of the Committee on Education and Sports held on Tuesday, 23rd November 2021, the committee was informed by the Minister of State for Finance in charge of planning, the Honorable Amos Gorobi, and the then State Minister for Education in charge of sports, the Honorable Oboa Dennis Hampson, that the 2 regional stadia, Akibwa and Buhinga, were presidential pledges made on the 18th March 2010 and 29th September 2012, respectively. The meeting was further informed that the 2 regional stadia prominently featured at cabinet meetings under the Ministry of Education and Sports to be financed under the Forum for China-Africa Cooperation, FOCAC, for the period running 2018 to 2021. As a committee, we observed that the idea of constructing the 2 regional stadia had long been conceived by the presidency prior to consideration of the same as proposed interventions at the 7th Ministerial Conference of FOCAC that was held in Beijing in 2018, and the renegotiation of the same at the 8th Ministerial Conference of FOCAC that was held in Dakar, Senegal, November 2021. The committee further observed that the laxity by relevant government institutions to fast-track implementation of presidential pledges on construction of a two regional stadia would have prompted His Excellency the President to seek support from government of the People's Republic of China at the 7th Ministerial Conference of FOCAC that was held in Beijing in 2018. So the committee recommends that the Ministry for Presidency should always liaise with the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development and Ministry of Education and Sports to expedite execution of presidential pronouncements. The second one, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, led submission of priority projects to Government of China for financing. The committee noted that the Honorable Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, in his letter dated 14th August 2019, and the letter is annexed to the report. This letter was the Minister of Education and Sports and had guided, as had been guided on 30th August 2019 as the deadline for submission of the feasibility studies, concept designs, and environmental and social impact assessment in respect of the two sports stadiums, Akibwa Stadium and Winga Stadium, for review and onward submission to the Chinese authorities for financing. In response to the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, Mr. Alex Kakoza, in a letter dated 25th May 2001, and the letter is annexed, submitted the final feasibility and detailed proposals for the two stadia. So as a committee, we observed that the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Education and Sports, delayed by a period of 1 year and 9 months to submit final feasibility study and detailed proposals for the two stadia to the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development for onward transmission to the government of the People's Republic of China for financing. The committee further observed that the delay in submission of key documents to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development could not be justified since the letter dated 14th August 2019 by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development clearly prescribed 30th August 2019 as the deadline for submission of the documents. So as a committee, we recommend that the Office of the Auditor General audits the entire process that is held accountable for delaying to cause expeditious production by the two consultancy firms of feasibility studies, concept designs, and environmental and social impact assessment reports for the two stadia in readiness for their submission to the government of the People's Republic of China for financing. The third one, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, exclusion of Winga Stadium and Akibwa Olympic Stadium from the list of projects to finance during the 8th Ministerial Conference of the FOCAC held in Dakar, Senegal. The committee was informed by the Honorable Minister of Education and Sports that during the 8th Ministerial meeting on the FOCAC held on 29th to 30th November 2021 in Dakar, Senegal, the matter of financing the construction of the two stadia was tabled for renegotiation. Attempts have been made by the government of Uganda to follow up on the same matter, and the various letters are attached. And the committee noted that there has not been any commitment from the government of the People's Republic of China in listing the two stadia among the priority interventions during the 2021 to 2023 FOCAC cycle. The committee was, however, informed by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development that the Embassy of the Government of the People's Republic of China indicated that grants resources available for the FOCAC cycle of 2021-2023 would not target infrastructure development projects, but rather be committed to address concerns in the health sector, particularly in addressing the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. And in that, any support during the 2021-2023 cycle would only target projects that have direct impact on the lives of Ugandans. So the committee observed that the government of the People's Republic of China had absolute reserve and right to determine grant resources and specific intervention areas, and that delays by government of Uganda to expedite submissions of key documents in respect of the two stadia in time for financing during the FOCAC 2018-2021 cycle could have motivated the non-inclusion non-inclusion of capacity building and infrastructure development initiatives by the Chinese government from the list of priorities in the FOCAC 2021-2023 cycle. So as a committee, we recommend that since government of Uganda failed to ensure timely submission of key documents as a requirement for financing the construction of the two regional stadia during the FOCAC cycle 2018-2021, and given the non-inclusion of the two sports facilities in the FOCAC cycle 2021-2023, the changes in priority intervention by the government of government of China, the government of Uganda should, as a matter of urgency, plan and budget for and allocate adequate funds for the construction of and maintenance of Winga Stadium and Akibwa Olympic Stadium. Other key related considerations, one of which is the previous budgetary allocations, the construction of Akibwa Olympic Stadium. Right Honorable Speaker and members, prior to presidential pledges made in respect to the construction of Akibwa Olympic Stadium, government of Uganda for 4 consecutive years, from financial year 2015-2016 to financial year 2018-2019, allocated a total of shillings 3.8 billion for construction of Akibwa Olympic Stadium. Out of the shillings 3.8 billion allocated, shillings 2.35 billion was released to the Ministry of Education and Sports for the same purpose. Further analysis of the budget performance of the project indicates that 1.83 billion shillings was spent from the financial year 2015-2016 to financial year 2018-2019 under Government of Uganda Development Funds that were allocated towards the construction of Akibwa Olympic Stadium under Development Project Code 1369. Table 1 below highlights the performance of the funds allocated towards this project for the period. In the interest of time, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the table is very clear. It has monies that were approved in each of those financial years. The second column is money that was released. Third column is money that was spent. And the next column is the percentage of what were released, and the last column is the percentage of what was released and was eventually spent. In financial year 2015-2016, 1 billion shillings allocated towards the project, out of which 0.76 billion was released, which is 76.3% of the approved amount, and Uganda shillings 0.79 billion was spent, which was 103% of the released amount. In financial year 2016-2017, the release was very low at 21.4%, and 97.2% of this was spent. In financial year 2017-2018, shillings 800 million was allocated, and shillings 780 billion was released, and out of that, 770 million was spent of the money that was released. In financial year 2018-2019, out of 1 billion that was allocated, only 600 million was released, and out of that, only 60 million, which is 9.5% of the released amount, was spent. During the Committee on Education and Sports oversight visit to the field that was held between the 17th and 19th September 2022, to appraise the status of the construction of Hinga and Akibwa Stadia, the committee was informed by the Chief Administrative Officer of Lila local government that government had allocated only 665 million for preliminary works on the sports facility, and that the district council was not privy to the 2.35 billion that was released for the aforementioned purpose. Our observation as a committee is that the budgetary allocations are suggested goodwill and prior intentions by government of Uganda to construct sports infrastructure to facilitate promotion of sports talent in the country. The committee further observed that the current state of proposed site for construction of Akibwa Olympic Stadium and civil works so far done at the site cannot justify value for the shillings 1.83 billion that was released to the Ministry of Education and Sports and spent. We recommend that the Auditor General should conduct a special audit on the performance of the 1.83 billion that was released to the Ministry of Education and Sports to aid the construction of Akibwa Olympic Stadium. 2, the Ministry of Education and Sports and Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development should ensure that funds are secured within the next financial year to kickstart the construction of the 2 stadia. Number 2, the risks of encroachment on land of this stadia. From the oversight visit conducted by the Committee on Education and Sports from 17th to 19th September 2022 to appraise the status of the construction of 2 regional stadia, it was evident that the proposed construction sites for the 2 regional stadia had no visible landmarks and signposts showing proof of ownership and registered interests in the land, which subjected it to risks of encroachment. We observed that the absence of key landmarks and signposts on these proposed construction sites may expose the land to risks of encroachment. As a committee, we recommend that the Minister of Education and Sports, in collaboration with the district local governments of Kabarole and Lira, should, in the meantime, erect some signposts on the proposed construction sites for the 2 stadia, showing the registered ownership and interest in the land and the purpose for which it is intended. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, in conclusion, deducing from the meetings held by the Committee on Education and Sports to consider the matter on failure by government of Uganda to secure a grant from the government of the People's Republic of China for construction of 2 regional stadia, namely Buhinga and Akibwa in Kabarole and Lira district respectively, it is evident that Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development did not fast track its acquisition in time. Ministry of Education and Sports too was equally responsible for delaying the submission of key documents in time to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development as a prerequisite for securing the grant from the government of the People's Republic of China. The Ministry of Education and Sports should come up with a proper master plan for all regional stadia. I think that includes the one of my brother, to enhance infrastructure development, identify and develop skill and talent which will boost sports discipline. Right, Honorable Speaker, while handling this matter, we all agreed in unison as a committee, so we do not have a minority report. So, Right, Honorable Speaker and members, I beg to submit and to implore you to support and adopt this report. I thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Do you have any statement to make on other stadiums since you're the committee overseeing the sector?
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we are currently handling the ministerial policy statement for the Ministry of Education and Sports. And a few months ago, we handled the budget framework paper. If you read the committee report, we are emphatic on the government, calling upon government to intentionally come out straight and consider establishment of regional stadia. We have even included all those monies in our reports, and we are going to make the same recommendation in our ministerial policy statement report. So we implore this House and also government to take this in good faith and ensure that we restore all our regional stadia. That report is very comprehensive. Our budget framework paper report And in the ministerial paper, policy statement report, we are going to write. We are going to be emphatic on this matter.
Thank you. Colleagues, let's use 20 minutes. We dispose of this. Then we go to the main report of National Council for Sports. Okay. I'll start with Honorable Josephat. I come with Honorable Ruhunda. I come to Honorable Christine. Honorable, they talked about your submission. Okay. I pick Honorable Nyachkongo, Honorable Judith Sadiek. And then Pius. Then I come here, colleagues. Let's do quickly 2 minutes each.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. For the record, I'm Tumwesi Josephat, representing the people of Uganda East South. I want to thank the committee for a wonderful report, I should say. The committee chairperson continued referring to these two stadia as regional stadia. He has mentioned something about prompting government to think loudly in establishing, or rather in enhancing the refurbishment of the regional stadia. I wanted to add, Mr. Speaker, sir, that government should deliberately think of establishing even where there are no functional stadia, so that sports can be energized in this country. Mr. Speaker and members, you agree with me that sports brings people together, both culturally and economically. In some countries, some sportsmen and women earn more than even presidents of those countries, I would say. Mr. Speaker, I would implore the committee and this House that we should think of establishing stadia at least at the level of the cities that we have created in this country. I come from a region called Bunyoro, and for everybody's knowledge, it is the oldest kingdom in this country, but we don't have a stadium. I would therefore request that the committee, as you are still working on the framework paper, budget framework paper of your committee, that you consider even those areas where they do not.
Thank you. Honorable Ruhunda.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I was privileged as the MP of Fort Portal Central Division, together with my colleagues, to host the president in a Buhinga playground. And it is at that point that I raised the matter with the president that the country needs state-of-the-art stadia, because we lack sports tourism in this country, but we are a soccer nation without infrastructure for soccer and other sports. And this really was something which the president got interested in, and he said actually that we should have regional stadia across the country. And I had in mind, Right Honorable Speaker, that we would be hosting international competitions, the CAF competitions. I'm glad the FIFA president is here, my friend. We thought that we needed a master plan like we have seen in Rwanda. It's a smaller country, smaller economy, but what they have done is they have organized and planned for tourism across the board, right from the hotel industry and then to the sports industry. And that's why we did not want to depend on the mercy of Chinese for us to develop our sports facilities. We could budget purposively and force some budget lines to create money for financing this stadium using our own budget.
Conclude, Honorable.
Right, Honorable Speaker, if that is not possible, I have seen the Ministry of Finance bringing loans for other projects, and I see no reason whatsoever why we cannot get loans to finance Buhinga Stadium, Achibua Stadium, and others. So it is my prayer that this House pronounces itself by urging government to secure loan facilities to finance these stadia in the country to avoid embarrassment like we saw in Cairo.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable Christie.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Though overtaken by events, Mr. Speaker, it is important that Parliament follows up on these monies allocated for the stadium. You can imagine from 2015, 2016, 2018, 19 to date. I really want to implore us to revisit the observations of the Auditor General for the years when money was allocated for the two stadia. And then we get strictly to following up the utilization of the funds. Because, Mr. Speaker, we should ensure clear accountability of funds allocated by government for these development programs. Mr. Speaker, would have also expected now the chair of the committee, like you hinted, to give us the update about all stadia in the country, so that as we are now planning to approve the budget of 2023-2024, we would be able, as Parliament now, to identify the priorities for the forthcoming financial year. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, the way we are moving on as a country, we need to identify particular areas, start and have conclusions so that we have outcomes, so that we realize effects, like for this case, the matter of talents development across the what? Across the country. That would have given us a picture as a Parliament that what do we do next after the two stadia, other than just having this information and it is not guiding us, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker and the Chair for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, I think Uganda, we don't prioritize certain things that we really need. And that's why we see many people rushing to watch football from other countries and sit comfortably, including our own Minister of Sports. Right Honorable Speaker, I was so embarrassed at a function which you attended in the Kacheka Stadium, and they call it a stadium. And this is a regional stadium, which would be expecting to be, serving Ugandans. And Right Honorable Speaker, these stadiums, if they are developed, they can correct NTR, and this money can be recovered. Look at the small football pitches that we have where they put, curtains and what. People pay when they are entering. But here in Uganda, we just leave them like that. We don't develop them. Then we scatter our resources. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm so embarrassed that in 2015, when I was in this Parliament, before I went for recess and bouncing back, this Akibua Stadium was a priority. We were so excited that we were going to have a state of art in the north, and then later on. But up to now, even the little money that was appropriated, I hear they are now recommending Auditor General to now audit even that little money. Why can't we even use the little money that we are given and then we push for further funding? This actually discourages people to support such activities. So, Right Honorable Speaker, when we allocate money to do its work, really let us do it and ensure that it gives us momentum and morale to look for other money to support other stadiums. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I beg that as a country where we are supporting sports, where we are supporting.
Honorable Sekabira, then Honorable Akabi.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, for the last decade, President Museveni has been promising the people of Greater Luero to also have a stadium. And when I wrote to the chairperson for the Committee of Presidential Affairs, he advised that I write to the Committee of Sports, the Education. And now that the Minister for Education, the Minister for Sports is here, I would want him to pronounce himself on that, because we do not have any monument for this NRM government in Luero, as opposed to the graveyards we have. We have one in Nakaseke, in Chikamuro, even in Luero, even in Chiboga. I would think we deserve one. Thank you so much.
Honorable Sekabira, you look so good. You're a good monument for the NRM. Because you look so good. I think the human beings would be better monuments, how they look. When you look at Honorable Sekabira, you would be a good monument. Yes. That was on the right note, Honorable. Switch on.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. In my own view, me, I would suggest that before we think of regional stadiums, let's first of all rehabilitate the national stadium, Mandela National Stadium, so that it can be functional. I don't know who plans for this country. We were embarrassed hosting a home game in another country. So my suggestion is let's rehabilitate Mandela National Stadium, then we think of regional stadiums. And once we come to regional stadiums, I request that we start with Hoima City, because for us, we have moved a step ahead. As a member of parliament, I convinced my own family and they gave out land to government, 10 acres in Hoima City. The FIFA president can testify with a title. So I think for us, we have moved already ahead. I beg to submit.
Honorable Serwani. Yeah, yes, Honorable Serwani raised this matter and I stopped him. Yes, if you could remember, colleagues, let's be fair. I stopped him on the way.
Right Honorable Speaker.
So this is the right time for him to.
I want to thank you for your very clever guidance. Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I seek that you protect me from the hecklers. The Honorable Namuga Goreth is heckling me. Right Honorable Speaker, when we are talking about stadiums, and why I raised the issue of the regional stadium of Busoga. Today, I think Busoga presents this country with the most able FIFA president, the Honorable Asim Magoge, seated with us here in this parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, if we miss, because when you look at page 10 of the report, the committee is recommending the minister to look into the regional stadiums and see that they bring here the proposal for the infrastructure development of the different regional stadiums. This is in page 10 and the last part in their conclusion. Right Honorable Speaker, I think this is the right time that other regions that have brought monuments, that have brought benefit to the sports of this country, like Busoga that brought a good leader that is managing football very well. We should come up with the Bugembe Stadium that has been pending for a long time. Actually, these days when you go to Bugembe Stadium, right Honorable Speaker, you can think it is something else because it is dilapidated, broken. This used to be one of the most classy stadiums in the Republic of Uganda. Right Honorable Speaker, I request the Honorable Minister to give us the plan as quick as possible so that we know when they are going to give us the Bugembe Football Stadium in Jinja, so that we, the best footballers in Busoga and
Honorable Kayemba Solo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to wish our King Ronald Muwenda a happy birthday. Yeah. I thank the committee for the report. really you have brought good things. And it's a government obligation to build stadiums. It's not anyone's obligation. So the practical ways the government does its things, that's why we lost the grant. If they had expedited it, we would have been with the stadium in the Buhinga. So somehow, somewhere, the people of Fort Portal lost an opportunity due to the delayed bureaucracy of this government. I also want to go to your recommendation of the 1.8 billions for Akibwa. When you go there and you look at the ground, you don't see the value for 1.8 billions. So I think we should take it for the Auditor General to audit it. Right, Honorable Speaker, the government should consider developing the stadiums which exist right now. Number, I'm not sure whether 12 of the ministers talked about will be ready. But what about the stadiums? Like St. Mary's Chitende private stadium. Why didn't the government help the private investor develop that stadium? Because it's for our own. Lugogo stadium for KCC. Why don't the government put there a good budget so that can be developed to help the talents of this country? For Nachivuwa, we need the status because it was an international stadium and a monument for the World War. Up to now, we don't know what's going on. Thank you.
Colleagues, I'm trying to pick a region I've already picked. I'm not picking. Reason being, we are talking about stadiums, so we want to know a sub-region. So for long, let me pick Honorable Linda Irene.
Thank you so much. I'm Honorable Linda Agnes.
Sorry, Agnes, sorry.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to commend the committee for their report. And on the very day they went to Lira, as the area member of parliament, I was with them. But all this that has happened, especially on the government planning of the finances to support this stadium. Right Honorable Speaker, something comes to my mind and ask myself, do we really love this country? Do we really love Uganda? Are we really patriotic, especially some of us who are in leadership? First of all, this stadium failed to be constructed because of the failure of the technical people that were supposed to expertise on the design of the stadium and ensuring that the design is given to the funders in time. This was a failure on our side. Two, government went ahead to plan with their little resources to start the construction, especially of Akibwa Stadium. Right Honorable Speaker, the only money that reached Lira district was 665 million, and it was just meant for bush clearing. The simple structure that we have in Akibwa Stadium is being worked on by the local people. Right Honorable Speaker, this pains us so much. We are lucky that Honorable Magogo was in Lira during the FUFA drums. Our
Honorable Amede for Bukedi.
Sorry.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I would like to draw the House to the policy of identifying local talent. When I was in school long time ago, time was set aside for sports in primary, public schools, and secondary. Students and pupils engaged in all manner of sports, and sports implements were provided. Today, most of that is not in our schools, at least in Butevo. Children have a right to play. Children are not playing. It is not a part of the school calendars to play. The fields, some schools have fields, but the fields are not evenly leveled. They are full of anthills. In Kampala, it was awash with newspaper articles. School land fields were given away. Nakasero, Kololo, Uganda Road. Are we really serious about identifying and developing local talent? I would like the minister to draw attention to at least these schools that have fields and do something about it. Thank you.
Honorable Kamara for Kigezi.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and I thank the committee for the report. I am now very convinced that the Ministry of Education and indeed the government are not serious about the Stadia. First of all, as you have heard, we had an international game. We don't have any stadium which qualifies to host any FIFA mandated games. Secondly, when I was growing up in my
The ones of FIFA going on. CAF.
Yes. When I was growing up, the old primary schools in the Kavala municipality, for example, have stadia. But in the last 10 years, I don't know of any primary schools which have been built within a stadium. In fact, even the city schools that have come up, they do not have any stadiums. Therefore, it is important that the Ministry of Education tells us the policy about building stadiums in schools, because that's where the sports development starts from. I beg to submit, Chair.
Thank you. But colleagues, for city schools, they are having playgrounds, play fields, and I don't think we can build stadiums for schools. We can. Honorable Franco for Karamoja.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. First of all, I want to thank the committee for the positive recommendations. I also want to inform this House that Karamoja region is endowed with a lot of talent. I want to believe that we have the best footballers in this country. But it's only unfortunate that when they talk about Karamoja, they talk about other things. But Karamojongs are talented in all fields. They are very good footballers. So we have had a big challenge, especially with the footballers from our region, because we border with Sudan and Kenya. So most of them end up harnessing their talents or training in other countries. So if much emphasis is put, especially across the in those regions that border with other countries, we can be able to actually benefit from this talent. Because if you remember, even Kapchora, most of the athletes actually used to go and participate in Kenya, and Kenya was actually taking the trophies and the wins. So if we can put emphasis and also be able to put more stadiums, especially our region, Karamoja, then you will talk positively about Karamoja, and I believe we shall be able to represent this country positively. Thank you.
Okay, Honorable Chemonges for Sebei. Chigezi Kamara has already finished speaking.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker.
We are trying to sample each region to know the stadiums, how they are, and the sports.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee for this very wonderful report. However, for some of us who represent athletes in this country, just like last week when I was in my constituency, I woke up in the morning around 5 and I found people training. Others are training football, others are running. And when I look at the way we handle sports in the country, I get surprised, because it is a big shame that with all our resources that we have, even with the God's given talent in sports, we still cannot manage to have a stadium per region. We need to work as leaders and really come together to make sure we have stadiums per region. Finally, we also need to look at the way we invest our resources when we finally decide to put resources. For example, in Sabay, we have the 38th, the high altitude training center. I can tell you, money invested in that project does not reflect on ground. Almost 26 billion they were here have been invested. But when you go there and look at the work done on ground, even when you look at the hostel that has been built in the in that place, you will wonder who is really planning for this. I want to request this house that we should have a very serious committee to go and really
Honorable Kum
whether there
Gabriel
is
for West
value for
Nile.
money in that stadium. Thank
Honorable
you so
Kum
much.
Gabriel for West Nile.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to thank the chairperson for the report, but in Zombo particularly, I will not talk for West Nile. In Zombo, in every village, there is a football club. And at the national level, we have two clubs, Paida Black Angels and Paida United. However, government has not invested to tap the energies of this youth. All these, the funding of these clubs are locally made. I would like to request the government to have a holistic approach to our problems. For example, in 2018, we had an insurgency whereby the youth combined and they attacked a rebel, a UPDF barracks. In Karamoja, we are crying that there is cattle rustling. We would like the government to tap the energies of the youth, such that when the government taps the energies of the youth and the youth become the friends of the government, for sure we shall not have cattle rustling and insecurity in this country. So I would like to implore the government, please let us pay attention and prioritize the sports for the youth who are even the majority in our country. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Susan Amero for Teso and Gilbert Oranya for Achori.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, in Soroti, we have a stadium for the whole of Teso sub-region, Oligoi. Right Honorable Speaker, I know that most of these stadia don't need a lot of money. I can give an example of Peche in Gulu. The former LOC5 chairman of Gulu tells me they spent about 380 to 400 to put it to that level where they can be able to collect resources from when they hold these football and other games. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know why government cannot afford money to put at least a stadium for every region so that we can keep our youth active. Right Honorable Speaker, the youth are becoming drug addicts because they don't have what to do. They don't have jobs, they don't have what to do, so they engage in what they can afford to do. So if we keep them busy, they will be tired and they cannot do wrong things. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg that this government thinks and forgets about just taking 2 regions and giving a lot of billions of money when we can do some work with some limited resources and we can have the whole country covered and represented in the national budget. Right Honorable Speaker, I beg that government considers putting a stadia in every region so that the youth are engaged, and because we know all that work without play made Jack a dull boy. Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Oranya.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to develop the talents for our youth. Now we have the program moving on. We call it FUFA Drum, introduced by the FUFA President, Honorable Moses Magogo. And the FUFA Drum has unearthed the talents of our youth. Right Honorable Speaker, at many times, many regions, many tribes were not represented at the international football. Nowadays, the FIFA drum has shown that there are so many talents in this country. Therefore, we call for stadiums in each and every region. Right, our Speaker, for Akiva stadiums, looking at the amount of money located, 1.83 billion. Yet the money that reached the ground was less than 600 million. Right, our Speaker, let the Ministry of Education be investigated. And the minister should take this very seriously. The extra money of 1.8600 has already reached. Let that money reach Lera Skiva Stadium immediately. Right, our Speaker, there are so many thieves in this country. They normally take advantage in every situation. The minister should take this one very seriously. Finally, right, our Speaker, looking at the way our children are, each and every schools, the Ministry of Education should encourage our parents, teachers, head teachers to allow children participate in the co-curricular activities, especially games and sports. There are so many schools without football pitch.
Our colleagues, in this house, we are lucky to have the president of FIFA, who has been in charge of football in the country, going through. Mr. Moses, Honorable Moses Magogo, come and give us some information. You must be having critical information on this issue.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, and the dear honorable members. I would like to provide information, and like you have rightly guided, if I can borrow what Solomon said, cleverly, the clever guidance you've provided, this house has the resource in me in terms of information sharing. This 11th Parliament is privileged that when we are discussing sports, we have the correct information to guide us. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, the world sports economy is over $600 billion. And if I can just break it down, in the UK alone, sports contributes to the economy what URA in this country collects the whole year. And largely Uganda, the whole of Africa, we are not partaking in this economy. We all know that sports has a cocktail of values, and many of you have mentioned boosting tourism, employment, forex earning, marketing Uganda, building patriotism, health reasons, widening the tax-based mobilization, name it. But whereas the government programs have concentrated on agriculture, on manufacturing, Uganda has a huge competitive advantage of manufacturing sports products that can compete on the world market. Sports talents are the raw material of the manufacturing process that produces sports products that are consumed at a fee. We all see how many people, how many Ugandans support foreign sports, but these products have been created from talent. So this is also a manufacturing process. Right, Honorable Speaker, Uganda is abundantly endowed with different sporting talents. Now, the government of Uganda may provide 4 items, and that is the law which we have been working on. Some of the issues members are raising have been provided for in the law. The funding, the policies, but most importantly, infrastructure, which we are discussing today. And we are all aware that government has provided infrastructure for other economic activities, but not the sporting business. Right, Honorable Speaker and members, Uganda had a population of 16 million people in 1986. And there were a number of stadiums across the country. And some of these stadiums were actually hosting international competitions. In Bugembe, in Mbale, in Nachivubo. We were even having in Nachivubo matches at night, as early as 1986. Now today as we speak, 45 million people, and we do not have any stadium that can host a CAF match. If you look at it, to break it down, other than Mandela National Stadium, which was a Chinese grant in the 1960s, but completed 1997, there has never been any major sporting infrastructure construction or rehabilitation. Right, honorable members, it is the duty of the government of Uganda to provide sporting infrastructure for the Ugandan youth. There are members here who have supported the FUFA drum.
Honorable Magogo, it shouldn't be a statement.
I'm providing information, right, honorable Speaker.
Yes, but conclude. We don't have much time. We are in Prime Minister's time. We want to keep our resources intact.
There are very many members here who have supported the FUFA drum, and we have seen the congestion that we have, which can end up even in catastrophe. This parliament has borrowed so much money to undertake a lot of infrastructure in energy, ICT, roads. There wouldn't be anything wrong with borrowing money to undertake sporting infrastructure. The second piece of information I want to provide, right, honorable Speaker and members, is about the bidding to host AFCON 2027. I'm privileged to be a member of the CAF Executive Committee, the body that runs African football. On the 5th April 2023, the CAF Executive Committee opened the bids for countries interested to host the 24 Nations Africa's biggest football event, also known as the Africa Cup of Nations. Right, honorable Speaker and members, in July 2022, His Excellency the President of the Republic of Uganda hosted the CAF President, Dr. Patrice Motsepe, and in the meeting also, we had the Right Honorable Speaker, the Deputy Speaker, the SECAFA President and President of Tanzania, and the President gave a duty to the Parliament of Uganda to undertake to bid to host AFCON 2027 as long as it was not in competition with any other East African country. The football federations of Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania have agreed to make a joint bid to bring Africa to East Africa for the first time in 66 years. Right, honorable Speaker, under Rule 59, where I can bring a motion without notice, I call upon this August House to support Uganda's bid, host the Africa Cup of Nations 2027. Because when we host, the issues we are discussing of infrastructure will automatically be absorbed because there will be a requirement for us to improve on the infrastructure that we have. Right, honorable Speaker and members, I beg to move.
Thank
and
you.
if I'm allowed, allow me to lay on table a document which includes the requirements that we have received for the purpose and benefit of this parliament.
Thank
Lay
you.
to lay, if allowed.
Please do. You read the document. It must have a title. For
The
reference
title of the
purposes.
document is to the Members Association of the Confederation of African Football calls for bids to host Africa Cup of Nations 2027.
Thank you. Honorable Magogo and team, they want our moral support as parliament. They want our support in each and every way so that they can host, you know, they bring Africa to East Africa. I think this is a very good proposal. I can see Corixio chanting. Let me formally capture this proposal because I remember I was in that meeting and the president was very supportive and he said, Parliament, please play a very, very critical role. And the CAF president seemed to be supporting. So we need to send a very strong message outside there. So if I can, let me put a question on the proposal so that it's very well captured and we extract resolution on it. I therefore put the question that this House support the proposal that Uganda joint bids for the hosting of the 2027 AFCON with other neighboring East African countries. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary. Aye, they have it. Honorable Magogo, you can see the support colleagues have for the sports sector. So, Olop. On the report of the committee.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, now that the grant was not secured, we want to empower government to take over the development of this stadium as area planned. But if government cannot, then let's privatize them. If government says they cannot manage, let's privatize them, because if we had a good private stadium here, we wouldn't have gone to Egypt. Maybe we would have used the St. Mary's if it is higher developed, and would have used it instead of going to Egypt. Of course, the Right Honourable Speaker, you know that I am the patron for Ankore District Football Association League, you know, and Buhweru is the champions. So I speak from my heart.
You passed through and opposed.
Right Honourable Speaker, I was appointed because Buhweru are the champions.
We supported the all of us. Yes.
And finally, Right Honourable Speaker, the 1.8.3 billion, I think we need a forensic audit, because money cannot just disappear. And once that is done, then we can know who is bringing sports down. Otherwise, I want to thank the minister, because he's a sportsman. But now, please speak not as a minister, but as a sports person, because I think you're not coming out the way we see you in the on the playground. I want to thank you.
Thank you. Honourable Minister, yesterday you brought a statement here, but you can use 2 minutes on this issue. We go to the other issue. We have Prime Minister's time. We go to the other issue of National Council.
Right Honourable Speaker and honourable colleagues, first of all, there are 20 members who have contributed, and there are very key issues which really needed a response. Maybe you'll guide me that some of them need me to formally bring a response in a written text for members to understand what we have and what we intend to do. However, first for the record, I want to begin by addressing my good friend and sister, the woman MP of Shema. For the record, I have never gone to watch an international competition in another country as far as football is concerned. Number two, why am I saying this? Because I know one of my colleagues is in Luzira. I need the records to make it clear. Number two, Right Honourable Speaker, I have gone as team leader and the Minister of State for Sports to support Team Uganda, and specifically on athletics. So for that matter, I have also gone on behalf of Team Uganda to support CHAN football competition in Algeria. And that is my role as a Minister of Sports. Now, to the issues raised, honorable colleagues, first of all, I want again to put it on record. His Excellency the President has personally written to me to have a meeting with him to discuss matters of sports. And I want to confirm I am, as a Minister of Sports, in touch with one of the strategic partners he has identified, which have done good work in some of the best countries within the continent in as far as sports infrastructure development. A case in point is Senegal, Cameroon, a few to mention. I am in touch with them on issues regarding what you mentioned here. Is government committed to develop the sports infrastructure? I want to say in affirmative, yes. Number two is the question, when are we going to implement it? And I'm happy today we are all in unison supporting the program of having us develop the sports infrastructure. I have the following to mention ever since I've been in this office. Number one, we must first differentiate between a stadium, a football pitch, and a football ground. Because we seem to be mixing issues here. Yesterday, I made a case study presentation of two. A stadium at Kibwa, how much is it costing? It's about $48 million. That's a stadium. A pitch, depending on where you're putting it. Number three, we must also agree. Do we have land? As of now, colleagues, I have instructed National Council of Sports under the guidance of my senior minister to move across the country to identify and meet local leaders with you colleagues to ascertain the question of land. For instance, I have heard my good friend Honorable Solomon Silwan talking about Bugembe Stadium. If you recall, in the sports law, which I had tabled before you here, the question of vesting of property, it was on the third schedule. As government, we thought we would take on that role, but the Attorney General did guide that land does not belong to me as a ministry or us as a ministry, but belongs to local governments. For that purpose, we have a plan which we have developed. What entails a stadium? What entails a playground? What entails a regional stadium for us to have? Because we are talking about 4 regions of Uganda, but we're talking about 18 zones of Uganda. Where do we put the stadiums? If I construct a Kibwa, is it enough to take West Nile, Madi, Acholi, Karamoja? Is that enough? These are fundamental issues which we are looking at holistically as a Minister of Education and Sports. So I wanted first to make those clarifications. The other one which I want to comment as I conclude, because others I'll give a formal written text to them, is 2 things. Number one, I welcome Right Honorable Speaker. I congratulate you with Right Honorable Anita Mong and His Excellency the President. I'm happy the FUFA President is here. I was not privy to that meeting, that you had a meeting with the President and the CAF President for purposes of us hosting the 2027 African Cup of Nations as East African Community. I welcome as the Minister of Sports, because like you did say, it will help us have some of the, as according to our plan, the immediate, medium, and long-term problems handled for purposes of us first reaching there. I welcome that. I promise to follow it up on behalf of the ministry. Maybe it's going to be discussed in the next subject matter. Right Honorable Speaker, the question of renovating Nambole. Friends, I know some of you might not want to hear this, but allow me to say because I'm in Parliament of Uganda. Where are we from? Where are we now today? What have been our priorities as a country? A person speaking here is an IDP, born in an IDP camp. Could you build a stadium in a place where there's cattle rustling? No, I am first beginning to tell us the realities. That's what I'm saying. Madam Right Honorable Speaker, can you protect me? Please, I beg to be protected.
Honorable.
No, I'm talking about our priorities. I need to be
Honorable
protected.
colleague, submit without asking members questions.
Right
Because
Honorable
they are
Speaker,
responding to your question.
why am I bringing this? Because sometimes, honorable members, we're in the Parliament of Uganda. Can we listen?
Colleagues, let's listen to the Honorable Minister.
Unfortunately, people who are heckling, with due respect, phone me here. Please, let's have respect. This is a National Assembly where issues must be debated. So I want to say this. Friends, when we talk about priorities of this country, it is not that this government does not want to invest in a sports in a sports subsector. But fundamentally, I gave an example of Ogwang. Like now, I'm happy that in Karamoja, Honorable Dome is here. It is the first, by the Honorable Dome, for your information. I don't know whether it is today, the Uganda Secondary School Sports Association is for the first time hosting a sports competition for the entire Karamoja in your municipality. It's meant to be tomorrow. First time. But could you host such a competition in Karamoja before? So these facts we must agree to look at. Could you plan to build Peche in Igulu when there's insurgents? Could you plan to build Akibwa in Lira when there's insurgents? So friends, I want to say this. We acknowledge where we have come from and where we are now. I want to pledge on behalf of government, we will build sports infrastructure because it's a mandate of government. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Minister. Our colleagues in the this afternoon in the VIP gallery, we have a delegation from the Pan-African Parliament. They include Mr. Kenneth Akibati, Sergeant at Arms, Mr. Ndamuka Marimo, Director of the Bureau, Mr. Rodin Mayengo, Senior Procurement Officer, Mr. Jeffrey Onyango, Media and Communications, and Mr. Jacob Odaba, IT Administrator. They've come to observe proceedings of this House. Please join me in welcoming them. Next item. Oh, sorry. Colleagues, you had become charged, so I wanted to jump quickly. So, but now, colleagues, I think we've received critical information. Luckily enough, the chairperson of the committee said more information will be in the Ministerial Policy Statement. When you are processing it, we shall discuss more about this. You can take note, especially now on allocation of funds to the sector to address issues with the stadiums. So, colleagues, now I want to put a question that a report of the Committee on Education and Sports in the failure by government of the Republic of Uganda secure the grant provided by the government of the People's Republic of China, construct 2 regional stadiums, Buhinga in Kabaro district and Kibua in Ira district be adopted. Those in favor say aye, and to the contrary nay. The ayes have it, but the Prime Minister has voted no. Next item.
Item number 8 on the order paper, statement by the Right Honorable Prime Minister on government and government business for the business succeeding week, 18th to 20th April 2023, pursuant to Rule 28 of the Rules of Procedure.
Right Honorable Prime Minister. Thank you, Chairperson, Education Committee. You can take leave.
Honorable Speaker and honorable members, allow me to submit business for the following week of 18th to 20th April under Rule 28. 1, the Uganda National Kiswahili Council Bill. Number 2, the statement by the Minister of East Africa Community Affairs on the 10th East African Petroleum Conference exhibition in May 2023. Honorable Speaker, I beg to.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Next item.
Item number 9 on order paper, Prime Minister's time pursuant to Rule 41 of the Rules of Procedure.
Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, Honorable Muyanja Alan, our Mayanja Alan, Member of Parliament Nakaseke, raised a matter of national concern regarding the presence of an infestation of the African armyworm in Nakaseke district. His prayer is that the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries provides chemicals and tools to Nakaseke district local government for the management and control of the African armyworm. Then 2, the Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries appears and presents a status report to this Parliament.
Right Honorable Speaker, my response to this question that the African armyworm is a migrant pest that damages cereal crops and grasses during the vegetation or vegetative growth stage and can cause up to 100% loss if not controlled. The pest is sporadic and spreads and impacts, and its impact is fatal and is facilitated by environmental conditions such as high temperatures, erratic rainfall, and wind currents on which adults must ride. Honorable Speaker, last year during the first season, that is March to May, there was a repeated African worm upsurge and infestation in over 50 districts, damaging cereals, millet, sorghum, maize, and rice, and grass. This invasion was put under control, like I told you last week, but one, by the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry, and Fisheries, working with local governments and farmers. The ministry provided over 20,000 liters of pesticide, cypermethrin, and 120 motorized spray pumps, together with protective gears, to control the pests. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, at the onset of the current planting season, that is February, March this year, some pockets of the African armyworm infestation were reported in 5 districts, that is Nakaseke, Tororo, Ngoya, Busia, and Padel. The Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry, and Fisheries, working with local governments and farmers, suppressed the infestation to very low populations. Intensification of rainfall in the country further suppressed the pests naturally. The Ministry of Agriculture is continuing to monitor the pest situation and has procured 6,000 liters of the recommended pesticide and 60 motorized pumps and 100 sets of protective gear to support the control operations in case of a resurgence. Finally, we appeal to farmers and the general public to remain vigilant and report any incident of this pest or any other to the lower local governments and district authorities to enable timely response by government. So in brief, these pests were suppressed both naturally and with the help of local government. Honorable Mara Paul, Member of Parliament at Tuke, or Tuke County. I was speaking in Runyoro. The 10th Parliament enacted the mining law, and according to him, which provided for a 5% tax on a kilogram of refined gold exports. This law could not be implemented because there was serious disagreements between the gold refining companies and the Uganda Revenue Authority. However, the 11th Parliament in 2022 repealed the Mining Act of 2003 and cured the lacuna in the law by passing a provision in the new Mining Act under section 287(2)(s), which states that a tax of shillings 200 per kilogram of gold exported will be applied. The provision of the law allows for retrospective application of the tax effective July 2021. His prayer, why hasn't government facilitated the recovery of tax arrears yet? We are running a deficit budget. My response, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable colleagues, is that revenue from the export of gold has been included in the revenue projections since 2021-2022. For the period 1st July 2021 to March 2023, the total gold quantity of the processed gold exported was 59,943.43 kilograms, and the tax arrears amounted to Uganda shillings 43 billion, out of which 428 million has been paid, and the balance of 42.9 billion is still pending. That Honorable Speaker and colleagues, gold exporters have been making undertakings to pay the arrears, and some have started paying. However, some gold exporters have gone to court to petition against the payments. Since the Gazette of the Statutory Instrument of 1st March 2023, a total of 3,308.48 kilograms of processed gold has been exported and declared, and a total of 2.4 billion has been collected. In the year 2023-2024, revenue from gold is projected to be 10.6 billion based on the recent declaration from gold exports. Number 3, Honorable Kabugo Florence, District Human Representative Kasese. She asked a question that we are all aware that Kilembe Mines Hospital was washed away by floods after River Nyamwamba burst its banks.
IT, can you ensure we don't interrupt the Prime Minister switching off the microphone?
And this,
until she finishes the Prime Minister's time.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Let me repeat. Honorable Kabugo Florence, District MP Kasese. She says that we are all aware that Kilembe Mines Hospital was washed away by floods after River Nyamwamba burst its banks, and this brought about a very big gap in health services within the region. It has also been established that the Ministry of Health has since deactivated its credit line. That for long now, government has always promised to elevate Rukoki Health Center 4 to a hospital status to bridge this gap, but this has always remained on the government pledge list to date. People have now resorted, people have nowhere to resort to for adequate medical attention. Lukoch Health Center 4 has no theater, and women have resorted to giving birth under trees, which is not only dangerous, but also undermining human dignity. Her prayer is that Prime Minister, myself, I would like to know Government plans of elevating this health center to a hospital status, and most preferably, the time frame within which me, expect to have it done. My response, Right Honorable Speaker, is that as you are aware, the disaster of floods has affected operation of Kilembe Mines Hospital on several occasions. Government planned to mitigate the effect of closure of Kilembe Mines Hospital and to ensure that it continues to offer health care services to the population within the region. Government through Ministry of Health has embarked on Rukochi Health Center for upgrade to a general hospital status. In addition, the Ministry of Health has prioritized the construction of a Health Center 3 in Bulembia Division to increase access to primary health care services to the catchment population of Kilembe. Honorable Speaker, my office under the emergency response secured 2 billion for restoration of the health infrastructure that had been destroyed by floods at Kilembe. However, after technical assessment, the site at Kilembe was found unsuitable because it was still in the way of River Nyamwamba. A decision was taken to relocate the establishment of the General Hospital at Rukochi Health Center 4. At this stage, the technical designs and bills of quantities of the General Hospital are being prepared by the Ministry of Health. The amount of 2 billion is therefore being applied towards the renovation of the existing structures using the UPDF construction brigade. This includes the maternity ward, which was burnt in 2019. Allow me to clarify that Rukochi Health Center 4 has a functional theater now that conducts more than 50 operations a month. Honorable Aisha Gaba, she's like a processing and obtaining a death certificate has become a cumbersome and expensive venture at NIRA offices, unlike earlier when they were obtained from sub-counties. There are very many transactions that require death certificates. Today, people have to travel longer distances to access a NIRA office to process death certificates because these offices are in few regions of the country. There is a requirement of one going through NIRA CID desk for interviewing, and at times officers want to reach where the deceased was buried. We have had cases where the NIRA CID officers ask applicants for facilitation in form of money to reach the burial sites and interface with the deceased's relatives and the local authorities. This has forced many people to either suspend or give up on processing death certificates, yet the necessity for proof of death. Her prayer is that why shouldn't government just improve data management systems on registration of deaths at sub-counties and save people from trekking longer journeys and spending lots of money just to obtain a death certificate. My response, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, is that the Registration of Persons Act 2015 mandates the registration officer who is prescribed as the staff of NIRA as a registrar of birth and death. It also mandates the sub-counties and health facilities to notify the events of deaths that happen within their areas of jurisdiction, and the police in the events of violent dates, and findings. Right Honorable Speaker, the documents required or acquired at the sub-counties were charged or were changed by the law to mean notification of death. Let me repeat this. Let Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the documents acquired in the sub-counties were changed by law to mean notification of death. Or not all notification of birth records whose purpose is to notify NIRA registrar that an event of death or birth has taken place. NIRA has 117 registration centers spread across the country. The authority aims to have offices in all the districts and cities in Uganda, and currently serves the rest of the administrative units from their mother districts. The issuance of the death certificate is done with utmost care by conducting a thorough verification to get the assurance that the alleged deceased person has actually passed on. Deaths are recorded in two ways. One, deaths that occur in health facilities are notified by the health facility administrator. This is done online using a system called the Mobile Vital Record System. It is also notified manually by providing a medical certificate of cause of death and a death notification record for deaths that have not been captured on the system due to various reasons. For example, deaths that happened long ago or in health facilities that are not on the system. Such applications do not require a CID report because the records and evidence is available from the health facilities. Honorable Speaker, number two, the second way is that deaths that happen in communities are the ones that require thorough verification because most of them have no records. It is these deaths that are susceptible to forgeries for purposes of getting death certificates and facilitating dishonest persons to obtain legal authority over the estate of a deceased person. Current deaths are notified by the sub-county chiefs, who issues a notification of death record as proof of death. This is both online for sub-counties that have internet connectivity and manually for those that are not connected. It is also on the basis that NIRA, it is also on that basis that NIRA issues a death certificate. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is important to note that the requirement for CID reports were decentralized to the district level. Therefore, any CID designated by the IGP at any police station investigates and confirms the event of the death through a report to NIRA. It is therefore not true that all the applicants for a death certificate must obtain a CID report from NIRA CID office in Kampala. A CID report from any police station within the country is sufficient. Honorable Kabasharira Naume, Member of Parliament, Rushenyi County. He says that there is a need to clarify on the high cost of third line antiretroviral treatment in Uganda compared to the first line and second line ARVs. A prayer that can government clarify on the high cost of the third line antiretroviral treatment in Uganda? Honorable Speaker, my response is that in Uganda, we have approximately 1.45 million people living with HIV. Of these, 1.3 million are on lifelong ARVs, supported by government of Uganda and our partners. The majority of them are on first-line ARV regimen. That is 96%, while about 3% are on the second-line regimen. Less than 1%, that is about 1,700 people, are currently on the third-line regimen. Clients are moved to third-line ligament, also known as salvage therapy, after failing first line, followed by second-line regimen. It is a deliberate policy of the treatment program to keep people on first-line regimen for as long as possible. This requires a good adherence to treatment. The cost of the first-line ligament is currently about $120. That is $10 per month, per person. 120 is for a year. While that of the second ligament is $360 per person per year, translating to approximately $30 US. It is true that the third line ligament is more expensive, that is about 840 per.
Point of order.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, in our rules, specifically Rule 83, behavior of members in the House. During a sitting, a member shall not bring into the House, without the consent of the Speaker, anything other than papers, books, or documents which are directly connected to the business of the House. I have seen the Honorable Minister of Sports walking in with a plastic cup of something that we don't know. I don't know whether it's alcohol or it's water or it's what. So, Right Honorable Speaker, is the Honorable Peter Ogwang in order to walk in with this plastic cup, and we don't know what he's carrying, Right Honorable Speaker? Is he in order, Right Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Peter Gwang, I cannot vouch for you because I don't know what you're carrying. Because the safety of my members is of great concern. They kind of find a way. And of safety, you dispose of the product you're carrying.
Right Honorable Speaker, I really take cognizance of the rules of procedure, but since morning, I've been within the parliamentary building, committee work, and up to the plenary. Right Honorable Speaker, I went to pick water. I am not aware whether there is alcohol provided for in the precincts of Parliament. So for that matter, Right Honorable Speaker, I take your ruling that allow me return back the glass of water to where I found it. I thank you.
Honorable colleague, water is around, but what a member referred to, you need permission of the Speaker. So that we are sure what you're having. Thank you. Right Honorable Prime Minister.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, like I had told you earlier, that the cost of the first line ligament is currently about $120 per person per year. That translates into $10 per month. While that of the second ligament is $360 per person per year, translating to about $30 per month. It is true that the third line regimen is more expensive. It's about $840 per person per year. That translates into $70 per month. That Honorable Speaker, for all clients, whether they are on the first line, second or third regiments, the cost of treatment is borne by government of Uganda and development partners through the Ministry of Health that meets all the costs, unless a client opts to go for private treatment. The third line ARV regiments are more expensive for the following reasons. The cost of laboratory tests that is required to determine that one has failed to respond to first line and the second line. So there are sequencing that is done and conducted in 3 laboratories in Uganda. There are only 3 laboratories in Uganda that conduct sequencing. So samples have to be transported to those laboratories. The reagents and the machines required for these tests are quite expensive to buy and run. Secondly, the ARVs used for the third line treatment, such as darunavir, are often still new on the patient. There are no genetic versions of these drugs that would be cheaper, as is the case with the first line and second line. ARVs used for the third line drugs are determined for each individual client and are often not in a fixed dose combination. For example, one tablet containing 2 or 3 drugs, which is often the case with the first and second line ligaments. Overall, Right Honorable Speaker, there are few clients worldwide that are on third line ARVs for the pharmaceutical companies to reduce their costs and benefit from the economies of scale. I would like to stress 3 things here about the third line ARVs. That despite the high cost in Uganda for the patients that require and are on third line ARVs, the cost of this treatment is borne by the government of Uganda and its partners. Like I've said earlier, unless a patient requires or opts to go private. Patients who need third line treatment should be supported to get in order for them to achieve sustainable viral suppression and improved clinical outcomes. This will prevent transmission of multi-drug resistant strains of HIV that would in the long run increase the cost of treatment for newly infected individuals that would risk increasing the cost of the overall program. Number 3, clients on first and second line ligament should be supported to adhere to their treatment so that they stay on the affordable first and second line ligaments for a longer time and reduce the need to move the third line of ARVs. Number 6, Honorable Achayo Juliet, Ngora County. She says that she raises a matter concerning the inability of government to collect enough blood for the safety of Ugandans and the lack of capacity by Nakasero Blood Bank to carry out its activities. Her prayer, Right Honorable Speaker, is that she wants me to update the House on the readiness of Uganda Blood Transfusion Services to carry out its mandate. In my response, Right Honorable Speaker and honorable members, the government has progressively increased the capacity of Uganda blood transfusion services, and we started constructing regional blood collection centers. For example, the construction of Soroti Blood Bank is at 90% completion. In terms of human resource capacity, Uganda Blood Transfusion Services has a total establishment of 424 positions, of which 296 are filled. The current staffing level can support constitution of 25 teams for blood collection. The collection centers require about 4,150 units of blood. 415,000 units of blood. Uganda transfusion, I'm tired. Uganda transfusion would need 38 teams, as each blood collection team is able to collect 1,000 units of blood per month. UBTS relies heavily on volunteers to fill the human resource gap of blood collection. However, volunteers are unreliable, as you all know, uneconomical, and have a lot of associated risks. Uganda Blood Transfusion Services proposed to recruit additional 13 teams, each comprising of 10 clinical staff for blood collection this financial year, and the funds for recruitment amounting to Uganda shillings 2.6 billion has been included in this financial year's budget. So I request you, honorable members, to support this budget. Honorable Nakut Face Napak, he says that he raises a matter concerning the lack of resources by Ministry of Water and Environment to resolve issues of silted valley dams in the Karamoja area. Her prayer is, can government update the House on the issue of silted valley dams? Honorable Speaker, on 16th March this year, a technical team from the Ministry of Water and Environment, after our meeting with the Karamoja sub-region members of parliament in Moroto and in my office, they visited the region and launched an exercise to conduct an assessment of the cost implication of the silting and rehabilitation of the priority dams selected by those leaders in our meeting. The technical team, together with the regional units from the ministry, is currently conducting this exercise, and the report will be presented to this House when this study is completed. That Honorable Speaker, I beg to submit.
Thank you, Right Honorable Prime Minister. Leader of Opposition.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to make some brief comments as per the rules on the responses by the Prime Minister. On question 1 by Honorable Alan Mayanja, I would like to commend the Prime Minister and Minister of Agriculture for the timely response to the satisfaction of the Honorable Member in providing the pesticides and the spraying pumps that were requested, and also the ministry being on standby to address the same concern. On the question raised by Honorable Paul Omara, his question was that government is pressed in terms of the resource envelope, and 42.9 billion is lying outside as tax arrears, and government has not facilitated the process of recovery of that amount. I urge the Prime Minister to take this matter seriously because we are going into the budgeting process and the government is already, as we have been told, quite pressed to raise more resources. We are aware that new tax proposals are being made. This amount, if recovered, would help. Mr. Speaker, the government has only collected 428.7 million out of the 42.9. That is just under 1% of what is outside there. And it is now 2 or 3 years. So the Prime Minister should work closely with the enforcement agencies to recover this amount. On the amount projected for 2023-2024, which is 10.6 billion, I feel basing on the figures that the Prime Minister has presented here, in the 2 preceding financial years, the tax amounted to 43.4 billion. I don't know the justification the Prime Minister has used to now reduce from the average of 20 per year to now 10.6. I think this is a low target in terms of what the government has been able to establish. On the question raised by Honorable Kabugo Florence, the question was more about the time frame. The Prime Minister has given a roadmap on the elevation of the health center, but the Honorable Member required the time frame. I think the people of Kasese are very much pressed and would like to know when actually the UPDF Engineering Brigade would begin this elevation of the hospital. The first question was by Honorable Aisha Agaba, Member of Parliament, on the issue of the cost of getting the CID reports for processing death certificates. I would like to propose in the alternative that since the sub-counties are now offering the notification of death and they are filling them online, the same sub-county official should then now file and NERA sends back the report to avoid the cost, the expenses for people traveling up to NERA offices to get. The sub-county, the officers who are issuing the notification can file it, and after the certificate is generated by NERA, it is sent back to the sub-county, and then the people can pick. On the issue of facilitating the CIDs, these certificates generate non-tax revenue. So the CIDs should be adequately provided with resources rather than demanding from the people who need the certificate to facilitate them, because this is at the gist of the question the Honorable Member asked, that when you approach the CID, it is you to pay them to go and visit the grave and talk to people to confirm that death has occurred. So government could provide resources to those CID officers to be able to undertake that facility. Fifth question by Honorable Naomi
Honorable, you
Kabatarina.
want to comment on each and every question?
Yes, briefly. That's brief. I'm about to finish. Some are good, Right Honorable Speaker. I would like to commend government for providing free antiretroviral treatment for both the first, second, and third line treatments to all the people who need. I think government should keep that so that all citizens are healthy. Lastly, on the issue of regional blood banks, Mr. Speaker, I have a question to the government. When you began the process of regionalizing institutions in this country, the regional police, regional referral hospitals, these facilities must come with some standards. You cannot have a regional referral hospital and it does not have a blood bank. So this should be the planning for government, that now that we are regionalizing our institutions, those institutions must have the requisite necessary requirements to deal with it. Lastly, on the issue raised by Honorable Nakut Faith about the lack of resources, I can only comment that the team that has been sent on the ground should immediately find the resources, because one of the drivers of conflict in Karamoja that we raise is actually the issue of water, access to water, and the lack of valley dams. Some of these valley dams have taken more than 10 years without being desilted. So you address the issue of water in Karamoja, the valley dams, you have partially solve the problems that members have been raising. So I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Clerk, we go back to item number 5.
Item number 5 on the order paper, motion for adoption of the report of the select committee on the inquiry into operations of the National Council of Sports.
Our colleagues, if you can remember, we said the minister should prepare a response to the issues. Honorable Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have a 13-page response, 38-page response, which I would like to lay on table and ask that, Mr. Speaker, through your indulgence, that this statement has been uploaded on our iPads, that maybe you could allow members to go through it. Then they have a one debate, including my response. That's my request, Right Honorable Speaker. Allow me to lay the statement on table. I thank you. My response on the issues as far as the probe committee or National Council of Sports is concerned. I thank you, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister. Colleagues, go through that statement. Then next week, because I saw it's very, very detailed. For have a balanced debate, you need to read that statement. House adjourned to Tuesday at 2 p.m.